Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Podcasters, the show where we talk all things movies, TV shows, video games, and a bunch of other things in no particular order. My name's Regan, and I'm joined by my iconic co-host, and I say iconic as in I know him, no one else knows him. It's Dan.
I like it how I'm iconic just simply for that reason, but alright then. Hello, everybody. We are back with episode 28 now. Can you believe it's 28 episodes? We're almost at 30 here. Nearly 30 episodes in.
The horror, honestly. Yes, episode 28. We are returning to the universe with Doctor Who Series 7. And that sigh could say a lot, or it could say very little. Maybe I'm just sighing because we're getting ever closer to the Chibnall era, and I'm ready to just gouge my eyes out at that point. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I don't want to.
You know what it is? You haven't exactly sold it to me from what I've heard. So,
and you've
you've
heard an extensive amount from me.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
fun.
But it's fine.
F-U-N. Fun.
No, not really. Anyway, we're talking about Series 7, as I said, but obviously, once again, we're going to start off with our playlist for the week. As ever, we're going to kick things off with Dan, who's told me behind the scenes that he's now set a record, and for the love of God, I just really hope he's been taking the piss and he's actually only watched like 4, maybe 5 things.
Oh yeah, I've watched 4 things. 4 things.
Oh, you absolute walrus.
Walrus? Okay, I mean, whatever. I mean, that's clearly your insult for this episode. You utter squid. Mm. So, Monday we kicked off with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm kind of progressing through it quite slow, Regan, because I just want to, do, all the towns and cities first before, progressing through the story. So I'm just, stuck in Havana at the minute, just trying to get, all the chests, the shanties, synchronization points, all this kind of stuff. So, taking me time with it.
Yeah.
I must say, though, I haven't played it ever since because there was a shanty, and I kid you not, I was inches away from it, and then it flew off. Literally inches. You could have literally poked it with the sword.
That's exactly how it works.
Yeah, and it just flew away. It grew wings and flew away.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. So, an audible entry now with Alien Covenant by Alan Dean Foster. Very similar to the film in some ways. It's just that some of it is a bit more extended. Yeah. Particularly the last bit is definitely a lot more dragged out. Very good nonetheless. Mm-hmm. A first-time watch of Rosemary's Baby from 1968 by Roman Polanski. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, good.
Very good film. Highly recommend it.
It's annoying because...
You'll be pleased to know that I am going to recommend it to you
good.
Because it is very good.
That's good. I wouldn't care. I keep on getting mistaken with Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which is the one I have actually seen. I haven't seen Rosemary's Baby.
It is really good. You've got to watch it. You really do have to watch it. You'll be pleased to know also that I have continued with Stranger Things.
Oh, there we go.
So, pretty much just season 1, episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and that was it for the day. On Tuesday, a bit of Batman Arkham Asylum. I've done, the main game on normal, I think.
Right.
I just kind of want to go back and do, all the Riddler challenges, all those annoying riddles, and those pesky little trophies.
Let's just say that doing the Riddler stuff in Arkham Asylum is a damn sight better than doing it in Arkham Knight.
Don't even get me on... No. Another first time watch of The Mummy Returns from 2001. A lot to say on this. It's fine. It's nowhere near the first film. However, that last scene with the Scorpion King, that
you have
CGI
finally seen it.
really has not aged well.
Really? Really? Are you sure?
The Rock honestly looks like he's made out of plasticine.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because The Rock actually is. He's
It's
actually the
just a secret
plasticine.
theory. The plasticine king.
Dwayne the Plasticine Johnson.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fine, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, however, this next one, this isn't fine.
Okay. It's amazing.
The Mummy, Tomb of the Emperor Dragon from 2008. Now, this is just... Where do I begin?
Shall we begin when it gets to my playlist?
I'm just
Spoilers.
going to say this is just not a mummy film. There's 2 mummy films. I don't know what this third film is.
Okay.
Just not a mummy film.
Okay.
Maybe it's just from the start where a dude just dissolves into chocolate goo.
Yeah.
Or somehow the CGI is just worse than both the films combined.
You can't... Yeah.
It's not good.
Okay. It's not
I
good.
don't like any of the characters. I don't like the story. I don't like the sudden shift from Egypt. No continuity whatsoever. It's just absolute fecal matter.
Okay.
So it's not The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. It's Tomb of the Dragon Emperor Turd.
Oh,
Because that would have been a
Turd,
damn
Dragon
sight
Emperor.
more interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. Put it
I
this
could
way.
tell.
I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I'd rather watch Van Helsing than ever watch this film again. And they're
That
rated
isn't-
both the same.
That's not classed as an insult though, because Van Helsing is actually fun.
It's rated the same as I rated Van Helsing, which is 1.5 stars.
Ooh, I've got things to say in about 10 or 15 minutes.
So some more Stranger Things now with episodes 6 and 7 from season 1, and then a couple of short films. One on Alter called This Dark Thought, which kind of deals with like mental illness and intrusive thoughts, which was really like quite like hard hitting for a short film. Don't Look in the Mirror. This is like by an independent director who has like his own channel. It's fine. It's just a bit generic. Nothing really pays off much until right at the end. Even if it is like 3 minutes long, it's not exactly an entertaining 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Wednesday was a bit of Dying Light. Again, just progressing through the game. Alien vs Predator, the Nightmare Alien playthrough. Right, I've just put this on hold now.
Good boy.
I'm just stopping because I just can't anymore. I don't have the patience anymore. I don't know how I did this on Xbox 360. I don't know how.
I don't know how either, frankly.
I've just given up. Maybe I'll come back to it in like another 4 years or something like that. It's fine. Finishing off Left 4 Dead, done that. Half-Life 2, I finished like the base game. I've now just got to do like the other little like add-ons and stuff like this, so I'm looking forward to that. Stranger Things episode 8 from season 1, and then straight into season 2. The entirety of season 2, I should add. So I've watched
Obviously.
2 full seasons of Stranger Things.
Of course you feckin' have.
A new film on Netflix, I wonder if you've maybe seen this. It's called Day Shift.
That's on my watch list. I'm not expecting to enjoy it too much because it's Jamie Foxx, but, you know.
It's good. It's nothing exceptional. It is a pretty fun film. But
Are you seriously going to tell me, by sitting there on the other end of the webcam, that you enjoyed... What's it called again? I've forgotten his name already.
Day Shift.
Day Shift. You're telling me that Day Shift was better than The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor?
Yeah.
And you call yourself a cinephile? What
Tomb
the
of
hell?
the Dragon Turd, more like. Good. Smut. So, we now go on to the second page of this document.
Oh, we've got
So-
two pages this week.
Yep. So obviously Thursday was just pretty much Stranger Things, and obviously She-Hulk debuted on Disney Plus. Look, it's alright.
You can say you didn't like it. You are actually allowed to say that.
Look, I liked it for the most part, but I guess we'll see what else brings. Like, this debut episode wasn't exactly anything special in terms of Marvel enticing me. It's just like Hulk and She-Hulk just basically like, stay here, but no, I want to go for my career. That is basically that entire episode. It's just,
I've got no idea. I haven't watched it yet.
yeah, it's fine. A bit of Half-Life 2 again, just, finishing off. Little, quests and stuff. Friday saw the most mellow game I have just ever played in my entire lifetime, and I just will admit now, hand in the air, that I am absolutely addicted to Slime Rancher.
I'm gonna have to find a different co-host now. This is getting ridiculous.
Bit of Batman Arkham Asylum. I think I've cleared out the penitentiary in Arkham Island.
Right.
So I went for the most annoying one in terms of Riddler trophies, because that one was just a pain in the ass. And just some other bits and bobs, just riddles that were easy enough to find. Now we go to probably one of the oldest games I've played, the original Alien vs Predator game from 2000. It's so weird.
From 2000? What the hell is
Oh
that
yeah,
one?
there was an original Alien vs Predator game. I imagine it was on the first generation Xbox. The graphics, you could tell it's yeah.
Right, okay.
It's really disorientating playing as the alien. The way you climb up the walls and stuff like that. You have to hold down the triggers to do it. It's so confusing. And if you die, you've got to restart the entire mission. No checkpoint. Got to restart the entire thing.
Of course you do, obviously.
Yeah. And another first-time watch of Doctor Who, The Space Museum. It's
I don't know that one.
one of the better ones. Let's just say that. It's weird and wacky. Yeah. So Saturday, Black Mirror 15 million merits. I like Black Mirror. I think there's some great stuff on it. Without a doubt. A first time watch of Event Horizon from 1997.
No.
Look, it's one of Paul Wes Anderson's better films, and I put that better in quotation marks because it's not exactly brilliant. It's acceptable.
Obviously, Alien vs Predator is better, just by default.
Oh, of course, it's 5 star. No, it's absolute turd. Let's not go there.
I'm so nice on films occasionally compared to you, which is ironic.
Another first-time watch on Netflix of Labyrinth from 1986, starring one David Bowie.
You haven't seen Labyrinth? Well, you have now, but... Oh
Yeah, well,
God.
yeah.
Even I have.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. And now we come to the smuttiest entry of them all. You thought Tomb of the Dragon Emperor was the smuttiest entry on this list. Oh, no. That goes to a film called Robert on Netflix.
Oh, don't waste your feckin' time with those. There's 7 of the damn things. Or something like that. There's 5 or 6.
Right, put it this way, right? I've seen 3 films by this director, and they're all rated half a star. I think he just doesn't get the point that he doesn't really understand filmmaking or making a good film.
I mean, probably by default, yeah.
Because they are just absolute crap. I mean, this was just... I even have, a little review of this thing, and I'll just boot it up when Letterboxd wants to comprehend with me.
Okay.
My thoughts on this film from 2015, Robert. An unimaginative slog of a film, Robert lacks in everything needed to make this film remotely interesting.
Ouch.
I really didn't like that. This film pissed me off.
So you highly recommend it to everyone but you?
Oh, of course. There's a good reason why it has a 1.3 rating on Letterboxd.
1.3? Jesus.
Yeah. Don't watch any of his films, please, because they're just not good.
Okay.
Maybe if you're just really, really bored, I'd recommend it, but this guy just really makes B movies for the sake of making B movies.
I would rather watch B movie.
No.
And I hate B movie.
Do you like jazz? Think jazz, Regan?
No.
Yeah, you do, don't lie.
No, shut up.
Yes, that is all 40 things I have watched. I can't believe it's actually 40. But then again, I did binge watch 2 seasons of Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, you got
less than a week.
I mean, you got to 40 on a technicality, and most of it is TV.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I haven't got 40.
Is
Okay.
it close to 40?
Fuck off. Oh, there'll be a lot more swearing later. It's fine. Okay, so my turn. I've also been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed again. Done a bit more on Black Flag. Not a whole lot because I've already done like the vast majority. At this rate, the only thing I'm actually trying to do is get the I forget what's the name of the outfit, but it's like the British red coloured one.
Yeah.
And you need to get that from one of the fleet missions that never pops up. So I've just been sending a load of man of wars in that direction because my entire fleet is just made up of man of wars.
Do you know what it is, right? That is literally mine. I think I started off with like, when the game gives you like a couple of schooners and stuff.
Oh yeah.
No, I just went go hard or go home and just go and pillage man of wars. Who cares if the Jackadaw's not upgraded? You just dive off the ship and clamber up the cannons as soon as you can, and the ship just like,
Oh, it's beautiful.
hold on. We have an intruder.
Yeah.
But we don't want to look for said intruder. We're just going to loiter around the ship and just wait for death, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, yeah, it still shows its age. I did play a bit of the Freedom Cry DLC, not a whole lot because that one's like a lot more restricted compared to. I mean, it's just not nearly as. It's not
nearly as open world like, is it?
Yeah.
It's quite restrictive.
Aye. I also still despise like stealth and stuff like that in these ones. It's just non-existent. Like you can't even crouch unless you're in a bush. Like how are you?
I never really understood why stealth was such an important part of Assassin's Creed Black Flag because like you're a pirate. I'm pretty sure pirates don't like go hiding in bushes, like waiting for some British officer to go by so you can grab him and just chuck him in a bush.
I mean, there was technically that pirate who dressed up as a woman to entice merchant ships towards him, and then attack them. That's probably the closest.
But it's just like you do like these various little, and then like, huh, what? Huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's something quite fun. I've done a lot more with Assassin's Creed 3 randomly. As in, I've finished the incredibly monotonous, like 3 or 4 hour fucking tutorial where you don't even get to play as the main character until further in because they didn't actually reveal that.
I haven't even played the game, and like I just know how awfully long that tutorial is.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting direction, especially because it ends on like a proper twist. But I mean, I already knew the twist because it's been out for years. But it's done pretty well, all things considering. That being said, the remastered version of Assassin's Creed 3 is incredibly buggy, like stupidly buggy. I had to like boot it up like 3 or 4 times again. But it was still relatively fun. As was Assassin's Creed Rogue, which I never got too far in because I used to own it on the PlayStation, so I didn't play it that often. I want to see more of where the story goes because I do like the concept of playing as a assassin who realizes this. The assassins aren't exactly like perfect at all, and so goes.
And so goes
Rogue, you Christ almighty. I was just going to make a joke and just say, like, he goes, Valhalla.
Well, that went just down like a.
I'm going to have to edit
like a
out,
man of war
like...
being a schooner, didn't it?
You fucking schooner. Oh, okay. As ever, continuing through horrible histories, finished Series 3, moved on to Series 4, I think it was either yesterday or the day before. Watched the second episode today. It's at this point now with Series 4 and 5 where I don't remember a lot of it because I kind of turned away from it through Series 3.
Yeah.
Still pretty funny. Can't lie there. Next up on Monday was film night for me and my girlfriend. I'm going to bundle this in with the other thing that's on Thursday, which is Bugsy Malone.
All right.
Because we had tickets to go and see the film on stage on Thursday night. So MG was saying maybe we'll watch the film first. So it's basically like a gangster parody kind of thing, but all the characters are played by kids. So you've got
Okay.
so instead it was Tommy guns. uh, Trying to describe was actually pretty funny. It's as I say, it was
It's like a
weird
game of charades.
yeah, it's like at first it was a little bit uncomfortable because you've got these characters that are clearly killing each other, but minus all the blood, and it's just like splurge guns, I think it was called, and it's really weird. That being said, I did find myself enjoying it quite a bit, but it was weird because I preferred the film to the stage version, but I actually found myself enjoying the stage version more, mostly because when they started acknowledging the audience, which I thought was quite funny. There's one point when, like one of the characters, Fat Sam, his other gang members, when the scene ends, they take all the stuff off and then like it moves on. But at this point in the stage show, all of his gang is dead, so it's just him. So he has to be the one who takes all the stuff back and forth, and he's just commenting for like 5 straight minutes. Because even we were saying it's like we've seen the film. There isn't 45 minutes left of the story. That's why. Cause but I did actually really like it. It was really good. I'll tell you one thing I thought it wasn't good. It was fine. 13 minutes of horror on Shudder.
Ah, see, I've been holding back on this because I've heard quite mixed things about it, so I'm a bit like.
Yeah, each show.
I know you really
long.
shouldn't listen to opinion without watching it, but Shudder is.
Shudder's a bit all over the place, frankly. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I ended up watching it in 2 sittings, which is hilarious for a film that's 13 minutes long.
Yeah, like, apparently, the short films in this are, like, less than, like, a couple of minutes, so they
Literally a minute long.
Yeah. They're literally a minute long, so how on earth can you, like, get any kind of story out of it?
Very, very quick.
How?
Very, very simple. There's a couple of decent ideas here and there, but honestly, I'm struggling to even remember most of it, frankly.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Random rewatch of Into the Dalek from Doctor Who Series 8. Picking and choosing from Series 8 is really difficult. I actually find myself a little bit more mixed on that series than I used to be. This is Peter Capaldi's first series, which we'll get into. I don't even know when. I don't know if it's the end of next month or into the next one, depending on times and stuff. I quite like it. It's still weird seeing the 12th Doctor with really short hair, because I'm used to seeing like the magnificent owl thatch that is Series 10 Capaldi. just like look at the foof. It's God.
Pre bird's nest haircut.
Yes, it is severe lack of foof. Yeah, this is actually, I think this is the first episode with a Dalek in for quite a number of years where you actually see them exterminate people. I think the last time
I've seen the episode. I've definitely seen the episode.
It's alright. I mean,
yeah, it is alright. It's quite different compared to, I mean, I never would have thought about sort of hoying a bunch of characters inside of a Dalek.
I still think my favorite moments of that is like honestly in the first 5 minutes is either when the Doctor's held at gunpoint on the TARDIS and the soldiers ordering him to take her back to his ship, and he's like, no, we are not gonna do it like that, and he's just like berating. I'm like, and then it ends with, will you take me back to my ship, please? It's like, there you go. You can't see 11 doing that at all. And I think there was the other bits where he's like referring to Clara as his carer because she cares, so I don't have to. Oh,
Wow.
yeah, it's alright. You know what else is alright? The Mummy Returns.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I wrote a fairly extensive review of this. I wasn't expecting to. Like, I used to watch this so much as a kid. Because I was allowed to watch this one. I wasn't allowed to watch the first one because the first one's classed as a 15. This one's classed as a 12. Yeah, just randomly.
All right
Um,
then.
yeah. It's no one's favourite mummy film by any means, but it's, my god, is this fun.
Oh, I can think of a mummy film that's certainly no one's favourite.
Now. Best scene is easily the bus chase in London. I absolutely adore that scene.
I really like that scene.
And I'm
I
gonna
thought
go.
that was bloody cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I actually think Alan Silvestri's score is better than Jerry Goldsmith's. I mean, Jerry Goldsmith's for the first one was amazing, but this one is just fantastic. Yeah, rewatch again, like surprisingly quickly, of the 5-ish Doctor's reboot again. Because
We're
my
gonna
girlfriend
have to
wanted
get you to watch other films.
Excuse me, I did. Mostly because my girlfriend really wanted to watch this, and I'm more than happy to watch it again. And yeah, it's still hilarious. We'll talk more about it next week. I'll have to get you to watch it somehow. You're gonna have to pirate it. I'm sorry. I don't actually think it exists anywhere else beyond like on physical media or I don't know, whatever the other ones are.
Oh dear.
Okay. I'm curious as to the face that you're gonna make when I say this one.
Hold on. Continue.
Jackass Forever.
Yes! You finally watched it!
In my defense, okay, it's only I didn't even realize it came to Paramount Plus at all. I had no idea. I was like, "Ooh, all right then," because I didn't watch it in cinemas. I only saw like the odd like clip when I was doing screen checks, and yeah, granted, look, it was absolutely hilarious. I cringed a lot in this, but
Yeah.
not because it's bad, because it's really fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
The bees. The bees hurt. Okay. But you know what it is? The fake rattlesnake as well.
Don't know. Stop.
Honestly, the one that like made me like properly like seize up was the bear.
Oh,
Because I was like, oh, okay, he's putting down salmon
where
and honey.
danger,
It's
where
like, what
danger
the fuck
Aaron
is- oh
gets
my God, it's
covered
a
in
bear.
bloody gets covered in honey and salmon, and he's just strapped to a chair. The bear's just, oh god,
Yeah.
it made me so anxious.
Yeah, that thing was absolutely fantastic. I mean, look, I never watched Jackass as a kid. I didn't care at all. I've tried to watch the first film on a couple of occasions, and like honestly, I can't even get past the first skit where he's trying to like rent a car or something. I think he turns it into like a demolition derby or something. I didn't care. But I think most of them are on Netflix anyway. As is Jackass 4.5, which is the behind the scenes version of Jackass Forever, which is also hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes on the intro thing with the Godzilla penis. I mean, for God's sake.
I'm not gonna lie, when that happened initially in the actual film, I was thinking, this is when I was thinking, oh, right, okay, it's that. It's testicles. Yeah. Okay. Of course it is. And then it was bees.
Yeah. And then we went to bees.
It's moving as you move, Steve. Honestly. The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. This is obviously a rewatch. I've seen this many times. I'll get to the bits I don't like, which is a few.
All of it.
No.
Oh.
I don't mind this one. I actually find it reasonably enjoyable, but I can totally see why someone wouldn't like it. Obviously Maria Bello isn't very good in this at all. We'll never know what like the full behind the scenes is. Will you stop shaking your head?
No.
Honestly.
No, I will not.
No, okay. Yeah, Maria Bello isn't very good at all. I also don't like the fact that that Alex now has an American accent.
Yeah.
Never liked that. I was like, what the hell is he playing as? Um, it's fairly obvious that Jet Li was actually on set for about 3 minutes. um, yeah, it's it's nowhere near as enjoyable as even The Mummy Returns, but I respect them for trying to go in a different direction. Like, it feels bigger and, like, grander, which I don't mind. But this is from the director of The Fast and the Furious, the original, and the more recent Hurricane Heist, which I still don't know if this is a heist in a hurricane or if they're stealing a hurricane. I don't know which one it is. I'm kind of hoping it's the latter. Oh, will you stop shaking your head, you poor soul? Like, honestly, you can't shake your head at the amount of fucking times that you watch a shitty Halloween film.
Look. Okay.
I am looking.
It is nowhere near as bad as the remake, the unnecessary remake, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still not a good film.
No, it's not a good film. I wouldn't go that far. I find it okay. Like, I find it thoroughly
I honestly
okay.
got halfway into the film, and I was just becoming excessively bored. Like, it was a chore. It was an absolute chore to get through the remainder of the film.
Yeah,
it's... No. The only bit I'd say I like, and I say this with very, very little care for it, is the horse and carriage chase. That was it. That was it.
I quite like the Yeti bit.
I thought that was stupid.
Why?
I thought that was absolutely
Why can't
stupid.
they have Yetis in this fantasy franchise? There's no reason why they can't.
Because it's... When I think of a Yeti, I think of this, like, rogue snow creature that attacks anything in its sight, but no, it just teams up with our protagonists. No.
Fine.
No.
Fine. I'll move on then to the final one,
please
because
do.
of course I've watched less than you. I also watched Event Horizon. It's the 25th anniversary this year, so there's a lot of, especially with me being 25 this year, like later in the year, there's a lot of like 25th anniversary stuff I'm going to have to get through. I'm going to have to rewatch stuff like Anastasia and stuff. Anastasia's amazing though. I will watch that again. Absolutely adore that one. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect with this one because I've heard a lot of stuff about him, mostly because of how much of a fan Paul W.S. Anderson is of Alien, and you can tell in bits and bobs of this, like, it opens identical to Alien, except with a PS2 cutscene of a CGI cup floating around. I'm glad I watched this on my tablet and not on the TV, because honestly I was like... Ugh.
Oh, trust me, yeah. I think my honest opinion of it here, Regan, is that I think this is oversold in terms of a film. Like, there's a lot of praise for this film, but I just think it was, like, okay at best.
Well, it's weird, because if you have a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score compared to the Letterboxd one, it's very, very different. Like, Rotten Tomatoes is 30%, but then Letterboxd is 3.3 out of 5. I was like, being very, very generous with this. I don't say it, to be honest. I mean, it's nice that we get... It's nice to see the original version of trying to explain, like, black hole stuff with, like, the paper and the pencil, because it came from this, which Interstellar just ripped off. Didn't think I'd ever say that. Christopher Nolan ripped off Paul W.S. Anderson.
I mean, the only real highlight of that film is, I suppose, the cast with it.
Yeah, the
Sam
cast
Neill.
is good.
I mean, Sam Neill's pretty good.
Lawrence Fishburne is just playing Morpheus.
Yes.
I couldn't unsee it. I also wasn't expecting to see Sean Pertwee in this.
Yeah,
That was hilarious.
I honestly had to, like, stop and look at the cast, and I was like, as if that is Sean Pertwee.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh my god, this actually came out before Dog Soldiers. That's even more hilarious. Because he's literally just playing the same character, which I like. I like him when he plays that kind of character.
I even like the little subtle reference with Coop.
Which even then, now, Dog Soldiers is actually making the reference to that.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
This is some weird paradox situation going on here. Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's alright. It's pretty bland. I don't remember a lot of it. I just like the fact, like, the whole thing is like, oh, we must find the Event Horizon. This is the big thing. 7 minutes later, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
I was like, you're literally structured like a Chris Chibnall episode of Doctor Who, of which there's 2 of them to talk about this week. Yay! Oh, yes, that's it. I haven't watched 40 Things. I'm never going to watch 40 Things, not unless I cheat, like you.
Well, put it this way, when I'm on holiday, you'll have plenty of time to catch up.
I mean, not really, because you're going to be going on holiday, and then I'm going to be away, so
Oh,
by
yeah.
the time you get
It's
back,
fine.
so it's going to be enough. It's fine, I'll be bringing a tablet, I'll watch some rubbish. But yes, that is my playlist for this week.
Yeah, got my Tomb of the Emperor Dragon.
Would you stop? We're going to be talking about the odd good thing now. We're going to be talking about Doctor Who. Series 7. You know how I keep on saying, we said it was Series 6 where it's like, oh, it's the most divisive series yet. No, Series 7 is the most divisive series yet.
Should we go through the episodes? So obviously we've got 13 here. Yeah? 13?
Yes. Yeah, so when we start, because so we did talk briefly about the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. This is actually the first time now where, seeing as we dropped the news segment, we can actually talk about each episode, which was the initial idea, but then we'd be running it like 3 hours long. But yeah, so Series 7, similar to Series 6, we've got a split season, 6 episodes in, well, technically 5 or 6 in part 1 in the autumn of 2012, and then the rest in spring of 2013, split up by the death of Amy and Rory. Finally. And the...
God, I wasn't expecting that reaction. Jesus.
And 3 feckin' introductions to Clara. Yeah, so let's kick things off with Asylum of the Daleks, written by one Mevan Stoffat. Sorry, Stephen Moffat. I used to really like this one, like, a lot. Used to is, in like
Used
bold
to,
and
yeah,
capital
the
letters
used
because
to
I
is
don't
an
like it
important
anymore.
part.
I'm
I'm honestly a bit mixed on it, if I'm being honest.
I'll say this though. This actually, I think they should have swapped this and Nightmare in Silver around, and did Asylum of the Cybermen. Not Dalek.
Okay, that would be a bit more interesting, I think.
Well, it makes more sense because let's face it, every single time we have like a Dalek episode that brings in like a different version of a Dalek that isn't a true Dalek, they just exterminate them. They don't lock them up on a planet. That doesn't make any sense. Also, I'm sorry, the Dalek Parliament and the Dalek Prime Minister is the second worst thing to happen to the Daleks in the 21st century.
I really did like that. I mean, the only thing I liked, maybe this is just because I'm just a morbid human being, I just like seeing a bunch of like insane Daleks locked up in an asylum.
But
just
Daleks
screaming.
are already insane.
Like,
I mean, like, how much more insane could they be?
Well, yes, they are insane, but now they're mentally insane.
Yeah. There's also like a weird subplot with Amy and Rory breaking up, and then it's resolved within 40 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what it is, right? I mean, I mentioned this in the Series 6 one where the God Complex had like a really great ending for them. This is just the longest epilogue to someone leaving I've ever seen. It's literally 5 episodes of them, will we, won't we, will we, won't we? Like, please just leave or die. One or the other ones, just do something.
Please just leave or die.
Yeah. But this was big at the time, on the 1st of September 2012, because I was there for it, was the surprise introduction of Jenna Coleman as Oswin Oswald, who was brilliant. I love this character. And she dies immediately. It's a running trend with...
The morbid truth is revealed.
Yeah, that is a great twist. Although I do have questions on the logistics of when she's talking through the speakers and stuff. Obviously, we hear Jenna Coleman's voice.
Yeah.
Does the Doctor hear Oswin's voice, or does he hear a Dalek's voice?
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around this, because obviously the Doctor discovers that Oswin is a Dalek when he goes into the room with said Dalek.
Yeah.
But through all that time, they're communicating. So, again, is the Doctor hearing a Dalek voice, or is he hearing Clara?
Yeah, exactly. It's weird.
But
I mean, again, She's really great. Like,
Oh
honestly,
yeah, she's
like really
phenomenal.
spot on.
Souffle girl.
Yeah. That being said, um, it's a major clickbait thing as well to like bring back like really old Dalek models because they're barely used. And I'm sorry, stop wasting the special weapons Dalek because it's the best Dalek.
It's an insult. It's an absolute insult.
Yeah. Speaking of those Dalek props, the BBC had to put out a call asking anyone who owned a Dalek to get in contact with them because they didn't have enough Dalek models to use in the episode.
Bloody hell.
So
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, you actually Russell T Davies actually loans one of his Daleks to the set, and you can see it briefly. I think it's at the point when Oswin tells the Doctor to run away, and then there's like a slow motion bit with like an explosion as he's running away, and you see one of I think it's like a Genesis of the Daleks era Dalek with like the little orange lights on.
Yes, yeah.
Doesn't do anything, and apparently it's that one. Like, thanks, Stephen, you dick. Yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'm still pretty mixed on it. Like, I think there's just too much that goes on in that episode. Like, as you say, the subplot with Amy and Rory splitting up, that is just, no. Stop. Just leave or die. One of the two. Please. And then, even though I like the twist with Oswin, it's
getting confusing.
It's just really It's a really confusing episode. I think it's nowhere near the most confusing episode ever, but it is pretty like mind-boggling.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Next up, we have one of two contributions by my favourite Doctor Who writer in human history, Christopher Chibnallizzi, as I'm now going to start calling him. I'm just making him sound Italian all of a sudden. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Further proof that they came up with the title first. Because there's no way because the dinosaurs are pointless in this. Like, they factor in so little.
I'm pretty sure there is like less than 4 species of dinosaurs that are shown throughout this entire episode.
Yeah.
There is a Triceratops for definite.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor rides it in glorious fashion.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I can't remember any other dinosaur. I'm pretty sure there's like some carnivore. No, there's velociraptors. There's velociraptors.
There's a T-Rex sleeping on the floor.
Because that wasn't ripped off from anything.
Yeah, and then there's velociraptors that actually look better in Primeval Series 2 than they did in this. I didn't know that was possible because it didn't look very convincing in that either.
Yeah.
Look, I actually quite like the twist that they're actually on a Silurian ship that's like escaped the Earth potentially because of like the moon and stuff.
I want to ask you a question here. This is bugging the hell out of me. The main villain of this, isn't that the actor who played Finch in Harry Potter? If not, he looks very, very, very similar.
Not only that, he also plays William Hartnell in An Adventure in Space and Time, and he also does something else that we'll get to. But yes, it's him. David Bradley.
I thought it was. Yes, I thought it bloody was.
You thought it bloody was. Yeah. Pointless. Pointless.
It's just...
I like how Series 7A does look a lot more with the Doctor's manipulative side when he's not around like the ponds and stuff. So like he's got like a gang of Nefertiti and a big game hunter, which I'm sorry, the Doctor's acting completely out of character if he's hanging around with a big game hunter. I feel like he would have killed him immediately. Just like, excuse me, I literally used to have a robot dog. How are you?
It's literally like how much he preaches to him and stuff like this. It's like, oh, back in the Southern Africa. It's like, I'm pretty sure if the Doctor was any sort of human, he would probably slap him with his own weapon.
Slap him with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Naughty. I do like Nefertiti in this though. That's actually kind of hilarious. But the best thing in this, I'm saying it, Rory's dad. He's such a lovable human being, and he must be protected at all costs.
it comes to something when I think that entire episode just should have just had that Rory's dad at it. That's it.
Yeah.
Screw the dinosaurs and stuff like that. Just Rory's dad.
Yeah. No,
Brilliant.
no. Honestly, I'll give credit to Chibnall, which I'll do, not even sporadically. But that is actually like a really good character that he's introduced, and I do really like him. It's interesting though, actually, with Nefertiti staying with John Riddell in whatever year he's supposed to be in. That's actually quite plausible, because when you look at the history books, Nefertiti just vanishes from history entirely. We don't know when she died. We don't know what happened. She just sort of like, oh, she's born, blah blah blah,
Disappeared,
gone.
yeah.
So I quite like that as an idea, even if it's kind of hilarious, like utterly stupid, but I quite like it. Otherwise, the episode's rubbish.
I like how she's just a badass towards the end of the episode as well. It's just like sudden change.
Yeah. Next up, though, A Town Called Mercy, written by one Toby Whithouse, who I still maintain should have gotten the showrunner job after Stephen Moffat, not Chris Chibnall. I very much would have preferred that. I can tell you're already decidedly more mixed on this than I am.
I think this is quite an underrated Doctor Who episode as a whole.
Severely.
It's like really, really underrated. I think it's a pretty good episode. Mm-hmm. I really like the mix of like the sci-fi and blend thing. At least it did it better than Cowboys versus Aliens. I mean, Christ.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really like this one a lot. I think this is tied with an episode in Series 7B for being my favourite of the series, like of Series 7. But again, it's taken me a long time to appreciate, because at first I was like, I don't care. Mostly because I just didn't care for Westerns. But in retrospect, I do really like it a lot. I love the tension between the Doctor and Carla Jex, the actual villain of the episode, not the gunslinger. They're both very similar characters. They've both done really horrible things in the service of something good, and there's the Doctor just like defaming him and like, you've literally done exactly the same thing as me, like what the hell. Easily the best scene in the entire episode is when the Doctor has him at gunpoint, and I think it's the first time I've actually been a little bit scared of 11, because it's like, he would only pick up that gun if he was legitimate, if he had a proper reason to, and it really, I can remember seeing that in the trailer. And it's great. I really like it. It's so uncomfortable to see, because that Doctor's so known for just being all loving and bouncy and stuff like that. And then,
there's a totally different side to him in this
head.
episode. It's like, I mean, I remember first seeing that and I thought, wow,
yeah,
that's intense. Damn.
And major props to the gunslinger being like a really good, like basically Frankenstein's monster / Terminator. I think I even joked on in our pre-review, which is doing dramatically well. I don't understand what the hell happened with that, but thank you for everyone who's been watching that. That I mentioned that I wanted to see the Terminator in the Old West. Doctor Who did it first.
Yeah,
so
pretty much Doctor Who. Same principles of it. He's just eradicating his chosen prey.
Mm-hmm.
I even really like the ending of that episode.
It does a weird thing that I noticed with all of Series 7A's episodes, where they all end with a massive explosion in some regard. Like, the Dalek Asylum explodes, the Silurian Ark thing explodes, Carla Jex's ship explodes, Episode 4 has the 75 million ships explode, and Episode 5 has New York kind of get time nuked or some shit like that. We will get to that. But yeah, it's still really good.
I tell you what, I really, really like that final shot of the gunslinger with the sheriff's badge. I really like that shot.
One of the things they actually changed, there was supposed to be a hauntingly beautiful melody emanated by the gunslinger when he arrives. So it's like badass and stuff. Originally, it was revealed that the music that he's playing is actually music that was played by Carla Jex when he was experimenting on the gunslinger. Yeah. Which there is actually a mini-sword of that. I've seen bits and bobs of it. It's actually quite interesting. So you get to see him before he becomes a cyborg. But yeah, he would play that, and it was used when he was being turned into a cyborg, essentially to drown out his screams. No spoilers, but this is actually something that's used in a future series of Doctor Who to chilling effect. Like, really chilling, and I loved it. But yes, as I said, this one's easily the best of Series 7 here. It's definitely not the other two. The power of 3, once again.
The power of cubes.
It was initially going. I think it was initially going to be called Cubed, and I'm like, don't go there. Just stop.
Do you know what it is, right? The only thing I liked about that episode was Roy's dad. I just found him absolutely hilarious. He does like a whole documentary of the cubes.
Oh,
like,
I love it. It's great.
Day 73, cube movement, none.
Non-existent.
Like, I just loved it.
Yeah. I do also like the reintroduction of Eunice. I love Kate Stewart like a lot. She's easily one of the best new characters. Now, she actually was introduced, I think it was back when there was like weird TV movies that were technically Doctor Who spin-offs, but that weren't called Doctor Who. So I think it was called Downtime or something. I think it was from the 90s. So you do have the Brigadier in that, and you also have a version of Kate Stewart. This is not the same one. This is just something else entirely. And thank goodness, because she's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart. She's great.
She's brilliant, and I really appreciate how they even like bring back the old tradition of saying that the Doctor is like how the Brigadier described him. Mm-hmm. I love it. I really love it, because it goes on for so long, and you think you get sick of hearing it, but you honestly don't.
No.
Because you just miss the Brigadier. I love the Brigadier.
Yeah.
Sergeant Benson!
Even the concept of the episode, I do actually quite like, and I really do like the subplot with Amy and Rory struggling to figure out which life they're supposed to choose. I just wish this was a little bit earlier, because there's no point in doing it now.
Yeah.
When, well,
yeah, considering the next episode.
Yeah. Ending of this is just wank. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
That being said,
naff.
though, there is a legitimate reason as to why it's so rushed and terrible, which I'll have this for the trivia bit. So, obviously the big villain is not actually the cubes, it's a creature known as the Shakri, which is from, who apparently who used to terrify little Gallifreyan children because they clearly hadn't seen Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, because it didn't exist on that planet. I don't know why the first one I came up with was The Curse of Michael Myers.
I don't know why you came up with The Curse of Michael Myers when you could have just said like Halloween Resurrection or something like that, but no, you had to go for like the weirdest one ever.
And I wouldn't even know, because I still haven't fucking watched this.
Why can I just picture like the sixth installment of Michael Myers just like loitering around Gallifrey?
It would be better than some of the shit we've had in the last couple of years.
Like, it's just like a council meeting of Time Lords, and like all you see in the background is just Michael Myers hiding behind a pillar. Dear God, no.
Anyway, yeah. So the actor that plays the Shakri is Stephen Burkoff. Apparently, he's a very well-known, very, very acclaimed actor.
The name does ring a bell, ever so slightly.
Absolute nightmare to work with, apparently. Mm-hmm. Repeatedly went against the wishes of the director, Douglas McKinnon, and in some cases just plain refusing to do what he was told. Deliberately ruined takes, sometimes by reading his lines as badly as possible, and had a couple of temper tantrums here and there. So virtually all the footage they shot featuring Burkoff was unusable. So the ending is just cobbled together with whatever the hell they could get, plus some pickups filmed later on, as well as a couple of shots of Burkoff in costume, which were allegedly taken when the camera was left running between takes. Because even like film footage of him like walking across the floor couldn't be used. So he wasn't supposed to be a hologram, and it wasn't supposed to end with just the Doctor flicking a screwdriver and swapping the cubes over to bring people back to life. So I'll give credit to Chibnall. It's not entirely his fault, but his name is still on this, so I blame him. Just entirely.
Yeah, I always wondered what happened with that episode, so now you've explained it. I mean, God, that ending is just
I just know these things. It's
horrendous.
great, isn't it?
It is pretty horrendous, but, given what happened, yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, it's not great at all. It's it's an interesting concept made by really really shoddy execution and nah. But okay, I don't think I know your full thoughts on this one yet. So I mean, this is going to be interesting. The Angels Take Manhattan by Stephen Moffat.
Look, I think this is one where it's a mixed opinion, but I'm starting to dislike it a lot more.
There's a Weeping Angel version of the Statue of Liberty. I turned away
Yeah.
pretty much immediately. I was like, nah, fuck that. Just no.
I
That
think
doesn't make
once
any
that
sense.
Statue of Liberty thing came into play, and I think that is when Rory and Amy go up to the roof and, are about to kill themselves, in quotation marks.
Pretty dark
And then they
stuff, to
turn
be honest.
around, and there is just the face of the Statue of Liberty, but it's a weeping angel, so it's the statue of the weeping angel.
You got to think that spend a lot of time in New York. Everyone knows the nickname for New York, but clearly these characters don't. The city that never fucking sleeps. As in, there's someone walking around all the time. How does that work? That being said, the little Weeping Angel cherub things, pretty creepy. I quite
Yeah,
like
the
that.
weird little gremlin angels are terrifying.
Yeah, I do quite like the idea of the Weeping Angels having like a battery farm of people that they can just keep consuming. I quite like that. That's pretty creepy and pretty dark. But it's not scary at all. It's just they're not scary anymore. Annoyingly.
They've taken out a lot of the scare from them, and I think that's what made that debut episode of the Weeping Angels so terrifying.
Yeah.
But this was just yes, it has some creepy moments, especially with the basement scene with the weird little creepy baby weeping angels in the basement where the light goes out, and even the bit with River Song getting trapped by the weeping angel. I think that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it's just very hit and miss.
I hate how they kind of I kind of hate how Rory's using this. He's used pretty decently for the first half, and then he doesn't even get a goodbye, nothing. He's just almost like an afterthought. It goes back to the things I disliked about the way they used Rory in Series 5. I really liked him in Series 6, a lot.
Yeah.
And even in bits and bobs in Series 7 here, but this is just doesn't even get goodbyes, it's gone. Because it's weird, because for a character who was able to get out of Amy's shadow in Series 6, is then just put back into it in Series 7 here. And it's just so contrived and convoluted and plot hole ridden as to why the Doctor can't see Amy and Rory again.
Yeah.
That doesn't work at all. I know they use the logic of it's once you've read about it, it has to happen. That's the rule. I'm like, you literally had the slogan for Series 5 and 6 as time can be rewritten. That's the whole point. You could have easily done that.
I kind of tried to see past the plot hole of it, but it's really hard to.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you say, the slogan was literally time can be rewritten, and then in this one, it's well, if you read about it, it's happened. But time can be rewritten, so go back and just don't write the book. It just has a bit of a naff plot hole, and I mean the thing with Rory just getting vaporized out of nowhere was stupid. Mm-hmm. Not even a goodbye.
Yeah.
Literally sucked all the possible emotion out of that final scene, so I just didn't care.
What was actually quite emotional was the unfilmed epilogue that they were going to do. It's available on YouTube. I think it's available on the DVDs as well. It's called P.S. It's also written by Chris Chibnall. Easily some of his best stuff. This is just in animated storyboard form because I never got around to filming it. But it was going to be. I mean, have you seen this?
No, it's news to me.
So this has Rory's dad again, learning what happened to Amy and Rory, with text from the script and a voiceover by Arthur Darvill. The video shows Brian and Amy and Rory's house watering the plants, as he promised to do. And then he gets a knock at the door. and this man at the door gives him a letter written by Rory and tells him what happened. Talks about how they're living happily, and the person that he's talking to at the door is actually his grandson. And at that point, I was like, "Oh, that's actually really sweet." And it's written by Chris Chibnall. I don't get this, man, honestly. Like, beyond A Town Called Mercy, this is probably the best thing to come out of Series 7 here. And it wasn't even fucking shot.
Yeah.
So, it was nice to get an actual ending to that.
Yeah, because, I mean, that was just a very sudden ending. Very sudden.
Yeah. I will actually reference this before we get onto the snowmen. A couple of different title sequences in these episodes that look like they were done on PowerPoint. I hate it. They look so cheap. There's no like flashy 3D text. It's just fade in, fade out, fade in, fade out. And I'm sorry.
It's like some word art on PowerPoint.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but I don't like the fact, like, the first one, it's the Doctor Who logo has Dalek bumps on it, and then the next one has dinosaur scales, then planks of wood. Planks of wood down.
Wow.
Weird cubey things, and half of the Statue of Liberty's head.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were trying to do with this. It doesn't get any better, frankly, as we move on to the Christmas episode, The Snowman. Mm-hmm. I still quite like this one. I don't love it by any means of the imagination, but I quite like it.
I'm in the same TARDIS, we'll say.
Correct.
Yeah, because I quite like it. I do quite like it. The snowmen are pretty creepy, despite looking really weird at the same time.
Yeah. No, it's a weird one. It's
weird.
Yeah, I really like this version of Clara. And as I think a lot of people know, which I'm not sure if you knew, this was actually supposed to be the version of Clara that was going to go into 7B. But then Stephen Moffat got cold feet because he was struggling to figure out how to have a Victorian governess in the present day. I'm like, are you telling me that you're struggling? Like, if you're struggling, you shouldn't be writing this. Like,
yeah.
Because this version has so much more chemistry with the 11th Doctor, which is something we're going to get into with modern Clara in a bit. But she's so much more interesting. Like, so much more.
Definitely. I think you can tell that she's just a character you want to get invested in. Just up front. I mean, hell, like, even the conversations with the kids, it's like, do your real voice. And then, like, she puts on the proper
mates.
thick, hello, mates.
Yeah.
The proper British accent.
Oh, yeah, it's
great. It's
great.
like all this courteous, sweet, posh girl, and then all of a sudden it's like, hello, mates.
Yeah, I really like it. I also really, 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 really love the new TARDIS interior. Coupled with Capaldi's later one, this is my favourite. Just full stop. It does
look absolutely brilliant.
It's the perfect blend of like the classic era and the more modern stuff. And can we just agree that like it has possibly one of the finest looking shots in Doctor Who history of them talking outside the TARDIS. Then they open the door, and then as they walk in, the camera follows them, and now they're in the actual TARDIS control room. That's never been done like in one motion. I mean, obviously they're filming on like a green screen and stuff, but it's so well done even by today's standards. It's great. I love it. Yeah, it's a little bit dark and grimy, but it makes sense because this version of the Doctor is a little bit more, we'll call him William Hartnell-esque, which I quite like.
Oh yeah, you know what it is? I was about
He's
to
pissed.
say, kind of see the vibe in it. Like, he just seems annoyed at everything.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I will not have any more companions. I must be alone. Yeah, I'm miserable.
Yeah. We also get like the Doctor's new slightly altered outfit with his Christmas garb. Even with the top hat and the fact that he's not actually wearing his bow tie until like halfway through the episode, and as soon as he puts it on, his demeanor just changes. It's if like that is like the key to being the 11th Doctor is
Do
wearing
you know what
the
it is,
fucking
right?
bow
I
tie.
think this is it Strax the Sontaran?
Ugh, yes.
May I suggest a full frontal assault?
Why?
Just like,
Just in case.
I love him throughout some of these episodes. Like, it's just, he blurts out this just absolutely ridiculous, like, line, and everyone just looks at him like, why? Just shut up.
I do find him
please.
funny, but I don't like the fact that because of that, they basically rendered the Sontarans basically a joke until 2021.
Oh, yeah.
That was really annoying.
Yeah.
That
I must admit, like, it does make the Sontarans just look like a joke. But I find it hilarious at the same
Yeah,
time.
you know, it's still good, and I love Vastra's introduction to the whatchamacallit, the housemaid or whatever, and she's like, "Hi, I'm like a lizard from the dawn of time, and this is my wife," and she just screams.
Yeah. I tell you, the bit that always gets me in that episode is the memory worm. I just buckle.
Oh yeah, I do actually like the memory worm quite a bit.
The bit with the when they try to make her forget, and obviously Strax finds the worm bites him, and he's just like,
Several
"Shall I get
times.
the memory worm?" And like he's like,
Memory worm.
"Did you get the memory worm?"
The what?
What memory worm?
What? When? Oh, look, it's snowing.
Yeah, I just buckle at it all the time. It's one of
Yeah.
my favourite scenes from that episode. But yeah, I
Um,
mean, maybe we should talk about like the actual villain, the intelligence.
The Great Intelligence, straight out of the 1970s, or the 1960s actually,
Yeah.
from the Second Doctor era, which I didn't know about at the time because my Classic Who knowledge was severely limited. Ian McKellen is wasted in this, and I don't mean wasted as in he's drunk. I mean there's no reason for him to be Ian McKellen. He could have
Yeah.
been anyone else. That being said, the voice is great, even if the reference to Game of Thrones is so fucking obvious. Just like, winter is coming. I'm like, it's not topical now. The show
Do you know what it
started
is,
2
right?
years
Like
prior.
when I watched this on rewatch, I was just expecting someone to come in with like a thick black fur coat on, just to come in at that exact time. But no,
Yeah.
shame.
This is obviously not Richard E. Grant's first foray into the Whoniverse. Of course, he played
He was one of the orphan like controller people, weird factory owner thing, cyber thing.
He was also the 11th Doctor in the Curse of Fatal Death. And was he 11th or was he the 12th? I can't remember which one. Anyway, he was also a version of the 9th Doctor in Scream of the Shalka in 2003, which I haven't watched. I don't care. Suitably sinister, but better utilised in the next episode, quite frankly, which is weird because he has nothing to do with that either. But he's got that demeanour with him, and I still really love the sequence with the Doctor taunting him, posing as Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I love that. I really like that beat.
I do like the fact that they deliberately made the soundtrack sound a bit like Sherlock, but they couldn't do it entirely due to copyright reasons. I'm like, mate, they're both the BBC. No one cares.
Yeah, I mean you can kind of hear it, but obviously they couldn't make it like from back to back sort of thing. They couldn't make it exactly like copy and paste. They had to do their own thing, even if it is made by the BBC and stuff like this. But you know, whatever.
We will address the obvious thing, that being, who the hell is Clara? So, Clara dies again.
No surprise.
Falling off a cloud several thousand feet in the air, and looks impeccable. She can even talk. That's amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
And Brian Cox apparently now. Amazing. Yeah, so it's at this point, it's like 2/3 of the way through the episode, you realise, oh, she's just going to be the plot device again. Which is very much the case when we get into The Bells of St. John. I really like the title. I used to watch this episode a lot. It's got a lot of rewatchability value on it.
I generally think, as a concept, right, killer Wi-Fi, okay, it's pretty relevant, to technology, all this stuff being consumed by technology, Wi-Fi, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's plot device. I mean, plot device.
Yeah,
Goodness
it's.
sake.
I mean, I do like the idea of it being the Wi-Fi, because even in 2013, it wasn't Wi-Fi wasn't. I don't think it was a major thing. So even Moffat was like, "Well, it's not really a thing yet, but we can make it scary." And
Oh yeah,
honestly, it's
and
scary.
they kind of do.
Yeah.
Your soul becomes
Um,
entrapped in a server owned by a corporation of some description.
We also get the 11th Doctor on a motorbike, which is something I didn't know I ever needed, because I love it. But no offense, seeing his face squeezed into a bicycle helmet with his massive chin and his goggles, and he's like,
It kind of reminds me of that.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah. Yes.
He looks like Mr. Bean. I'll give him credit though. The music that plays when he's racing across the bridge to go and save Clara again, is so awesome. It's just all like the badass version of I Am the Doctor. I think it's great. It feels very Bond-esque for the most part. It's like
Oh yes, especially the
budget Bond.
cheesiness that happens straight after. It's like, oh, you've got a motorcycle, well, what can it do? Oh, it can climb up a building.
You know what it
Was
is, though?
not expecting that.
I want to
Was not
see the
expecting
anti-grav
that.
Olympics. I really want to see that. That would be awesome. I love the villains quite a bit, actually. I find the Great Intelligence used far better here. Like how manipulative he actually is in manipulating, I think, what's her name, Miss Kislet or something, seemingly for decades. And when she finally has her mind back, she's clearly like 10 or 11 years old, and she's absolutely terrified. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's so good. I love that. Shame about the rest. Spoonheads. Spoonheads.
But next up is Cold War.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No,
Is it not?
no,
Have I
it's
missed
the
one?
no, it's the Rings of Akatia.
God, I missed one. Yes, it is. It's the
Oh,
Rings of
y-
okay, Ignore me. Yeah,
Gladly,
yeah. Rings
I
of
will
Akaten.
now. I'm going to talk to,
Oh,
to
okay.
myself
This
from now on.
episode.
Almost the best episode of Series 7B. Almost. For me.
Oh, right. I see.
I have always had a soft spot for this episode. I really like the interactions between Clara and Mary when she goes off on one. It's like perfect companion material with her just like sitting her down and just talking to her. That's really well done.
Yeah.
I love the music. I know some people don't like it. I find it
I do
really
quite like the
endearing.
score. I must admit, I do like the score.
Well,
it seems
not-
to fit
well, I
with
mean-
it very well.
Yeah, but I mean, even like the original songs that like the monks and the Queen of Years are singing, and towards the end, it's honestly it's beautiful. Frankly,
Yeah.
I love the twist of the villain not being the mummy in the cage; it's actually the planet. That's such a good twist.
Yeah, it is a good twist, I must admit, because I think when you see like the mummy in the thing, you think, okay, definitely the villain here, but then obviously it's revealed that it is a giant cannibalistic planet.
Yeah, it's great actually. Even if I don't need to see the Doctor brandishing his sonic screwdriver like a magic wand and he's fighting off the other things, I'm like, no, this is not Harry Potter. Stop it.
For the cadaver.
And of course, the Doctor's speech at the end, like that's still
Yeah,
one- Here's the thing.
yeah, I dig it.
You can actually tell how good of a speech it is when you see at comic conventions and stuff. When people are asking questions to previous actors who play the Doctor, and they ask them to do that speech in their version of the Doctor. That's happened. I think Colin Baker did it, and I think John Hurt did it as well. Like even John Hurt did it.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But it still brings a tear to my eye, frankly. Like, Matt Smith just acts the hell out of that. It's just a shame that it ends, like, immediately. Like, there's no
Yeah, it
resolution.
is a bit of a shame that it ends quite suddenly.
There is actually a bit of trivia for this episode. I'll actually say for the next one, which you'll understand why.
No, cool.
But, well, I'll still do a bit of trivia on this one. Mary Glell, Queen of Years, is played by Amelia Jones.
Yes.
She popped up in the Horrible Histories movie a couple of years ago, and she was also in Coda, which won Best Picture at the Oscars this year, which I still need to see, but I think it's on Apple TV, so I'm kind of screwed. She's also the daughter of Alan Jones, who famously sung Walking in the Air for the 1982 Christmas film The Snowman.
Oh, I love The Snowman. I love that film.
I hate that song.
Yeah, I really don't like the song.
Didn't they do a sequel recently called like The Snowman and the Snow Dog?
Something like that. I haven't watched it because
I can't wait to see.
I don't want to.
I can't wait to see the third films like The Snowman, the Snow Dog, and the Wardrobe. Did you
The
see
Snowman, the Snow Dog, and the Wardrobe. The Snowman family.
Yeah. As I say, I've definitely got a soft spot for the Rings of Accent. I can remember when you, I think at one point when you rewatched it a couple weeks ago, and you were like, eh. I was like, no.
Yeah, I'm still vaguely like that, but I really do like parts of it, especially the speech. Brilliant. Matt
Yeah.
Smith just nails it. Acts the hell out of it.
Yeah.
The score's pretty good for it.
Yeah.
And the twist as well, but it's mostly just those that make it a highlight for me.
Okay. Now we can move on to Cold War.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay. Okay, I quite like this episode. Mm-hmm. It's been a long, long time since we've seen an Ice Warrior.
Very.
Specifically, a very ruthless Ice Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
I just really like this for some reason. I think it has the perfect setup, like, during the Cold War. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, because he doesn't have anyone, he just decides to end humanity. He just...
Of course he does.
Because why ever not?
Yeah.
You know, he has the resources to do it. He's going to fire nukes at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think this episode is a good one. I don't know what you think of this episode.
I flipped back and forth on it for years. Like, initially it was my favourite of Series 7, and then I thought, it's... Mostly because, and I mentioned this before, I don't really like Mark Gatiss as a writer for Doctor Who. I think he's far better in Sherlock, or even when he's acting in Doctor Who, the few times that he does. It's very hit and miss, especially with some of the dialogue. It's like really, really creaky. That being said, Skaldak is a great villain. Really like that, and I love the updated design for the armor. I think it's perfect, frankly. The late David Warner, hilarious in this. I really like him.
Yeah.
Liam Cunningham is fantastic as well. Clara's in it.
Of course. How could we forget?
Yeah, it's quite good. Initially, the ending I thought was very abrupt, but I like how the Doctor tries to appeal to Skaldak as a warrior, but then Clara appeals to him as a father. I really like that a lot. That's like a nice divide between the two.
Yeah, I did too.
Bit of trivia though. So, this episode famously, for the very first time, we get to see an Ice Warrior underneath the armor. Hadn't been seen before. Covered in CGI. And there's a reason for that. So they did have a practical costume design thing.
Yeah.
As like a proper one. And you do see a little bit of it when it's gripping Steppersham from the back and he's talking to him. And you just see the very unconvincing claws. And the original design was actually deemed too difficult to work with, so they scrapped it. But it was so late in production that the design's actually used in toy companies. There's a couple of play sets that were released not too long after, and you get to have the figure of it. And you're like, that doesn't look like the one in the episode.
But also, I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
But also, because of really weird filming times, The Rings of Akaten was actually filmed after this. So in the background, in a very, very brief moment, you can actually see the original version of the Ice Warrior just sitting there, as if it's just loitering.
Just loitering on the submarine.
And I love that, and especially when I saw it for the first time, I was like, oh my god, that is actually hilarious. Yeah, it's not a good design by any means. I mean, it's very like generic alien. It's like just like really like long and spindly.
Yeah.
But now we get to hide another Neil Cross one. This is the best episode of Series 7B. If I had to be generous, I'd say it's the best episode of Series 7. Quite frankly.
Yeah, I really like this episode, actually.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's an entertaining one, nonetheless. I mean, I'm not saying that every other episode of Series 7 is not entertaining, but it's by far probably the most, like, entertaining for me, personally. Like, I could easily go back and rewatch it, like, without a doubt, without even having to think. Like, if I was going to pick an episode to rewatch, I'd pick Hyde.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt.
I really like Douglas Scott and Jessica Raine in this. They're both really good. I mean, I like how small the cast is anyway. I love the sci-fi twist on the ghost. Like, I really like that a lot. It's such a proper science fiction idea of like, oh, this person's trapped in another universe, but because time is different, she's been trapped there for 3 minutes, and we've seen her face for like thousands and thousands of years. I'm like, that's so good, and the fact it didn't come from Stephen Moffat just proves how good a writer Neil Cross is, and I want him back for like another episode. I think he'd do it really well. I can remember when the trailers dropped for Series 7B, and you saw like the few bits of the Doctor in the forest, and you hear him say like, "I am the Doctor and I am afraid." There was one rumor that someone had where this was actually in the finale, and it was going to be, well, the whole Fields of Trenzalore thing, where Trenzalore was actually a character, and this is like the place that they own. And you see at one point the crooked man behind the Doctor, and you just see like the back of him, and someone said, "Is that actually Trenzalore?" And I was like, "Damn it, that's actually a really cool idea."
Yeah.
But what's an even weirder idea is the original version of what this was actually going to be, which I didn't know about until more recently. So the pocket universe that they're in, where Hiller is trapped, was actually going to be a prison for a character known as the Lost Lord. Essentially, an ancient Time Lord who had become snared in the Hex so long ago that he was now just a bogeyman of Gallifreyan legend. And he's
So
essentially
not Michael Myers.
No, he's not Michael Myers, unfortunately. Annoyingly. So he's trying to tempt the Doctor into the Hex to feed on him, enabling him to return to the normal universe where he would begin absorbing all of time and space because he's evil. He's bad.
Yeah, evil Time Lord. Yeah. Scary.
But then the Crooked Man's also in it, but he's not actually him, so I'm like, what's the point in the Crooked Man now all of a sudden? So they're like, oh, we'll just drop it entirely and instead have the two crooked creatures have a love story that mirrors the other two leads in the episode, which I know people don't like that. I actually personally do. I think it's quite sweet. Like, oh, he's looking absolutely hideous, but he's got love. They're both hideous. Yeah, as I say, we're both pretty much in agreement on this one. We both really like this one. Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. Daniel Quinney. Again, the title was decided first.
This reminds me of that episode 42.
Ugh.
Exact same principle of it. The Doctor has like 42 minutes to save this, but in this case, he has 30 minutes before the TARDIS explodes.
Yeah.
It's just a filler episode in my mind. Like, it's pretty much just that. There's nothing remotely too interesting about this one. It's a filler
I like the
episode
concept of like the time zombie thing. That's actually quite interesting. Especially, again, mostly just from the trailer when you see like one of the TARDIS doors open and it's just there, and you're thinking, is he really keeping zombies in the TARDIS? Like, what the hell's going on with that?
Well, Doctor, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. Also,
have you not watched Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah. Also,
you're 900 years old.
It's also weird seeing the 11th Doctor in his new outfit, but minus the jacket, and it's just the waistcoat. Like, that looks pretty badass, to be honest. Like, it also looks cheap as a cosplay. Than that bloody coat. Yeah, you do technically get to see more of the inside of the TARDIS if we really count that, in that it's just CGI. I also like how there is what I've now affectionately dubbed Michael Bay's bedroom. When I think it's when Clara initially wakes up and she opens one of the doors and there's just an explosion in it.
Michael Bay's bedroom. God damn it, Regan.
It's no one to make that joke for. I'm sure I'm not the first. It's interesting looking at how this episode was actually going to go ahead. It was actually going to be the writer Steve Thompson initially went back to his days as a teacher, and he came up with the idea that there's a school trip going on, and the TARDIS crashes into said school trip, and then a group of teenage kids ends up in the time machine, which causes it to malfunction. What the hell is that supposed to be? I'm picturing them acting like gremlins, just like...
They're just like kids like swinging from like the blooming cables and that just chewing through them.
All of a sudden, that actually sounds like a more interesting episode now, and I didn't think it was in writing.
Just a bunch of gremlin school children just infiltrate the TARDIS, just tearing it to absolute shreds. The Doctor's got 30 minutes to save it.
Bloody teenagers, honestly.
Immediately sounds more entertaining.
Yeah. Crimson Horror, though.
You didn't say it right. The Crimson Horror.
The Crimson Horror. Sorry,
the Crimson Horror.
I'm not from feckin' Yorkshire.
Yeah, I get like a lot of residue from classic episodes from this.
Yeah. I would rather you didn't, to be honest.
Oh god, context matters. Oh no, I've just realised my error there. Yeah, I quite like this episode. Especially the end. It's like, oh, I'll take it back to said so-and-so planet and then just...
Oh, never mind, okay.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I quite like it. What about you?
Yeah, I also quite like it. It's still got a lot of like classic Mark Gatiss issues, mostly just with the dialogue. I also find it really cringy how when the Doctor finally is like out of the Crimson Horror, the first thing he does is he kisses a lesbian.
Oh yes, he does.
Also, can we just say, Jenny is awesome. Like, I love Jenny as a character.
I don't care what anyone says. Jenny as a character is just cool.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I quite like Diana Rigg in this, who I think also passed away. I don't know if it was this year or last. She's really
quite
good
recently.
In this.
Within a couple of years. Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, it's alright. It is what it is, but I mean, it definitely works on the title, which is great. It's also the character of Mr. Sweet. Mr. Sweet.
Do you know what it is? Like, it just sounds like something out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like,
I was thinking something more like a crappy Ice Age film, to be honest.
Oh, it's just like, it sounds like a concept character from
Danger Mouse.
Have you seen the 7th Doctor episode, The Happiness Patrol?
I don't need to.
I will. It honestly sounds like a concept character for the Candyman. Welcome to the Sugar Kitchen.
Jesus. But yeah, so Mr. Sweet is actually derived from the repulsive story of the Red Leech, which is actually an untold adventure from Sherlock Holmes, mentioned at the start of The Adventure of the Golden Pinsners, which is not how you pronounce that, but I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. It looks French, to be honest. It's from 1904, if anyone cares. Now, okay. Nightmare in Silver. Initially titled The Last Cyberman until a script was found on a bus. Written by Neil Gaiman, once again, who's in the news now with The Sandman. I think this episode's crap.
I'm not keen on it, put it that way.
No,
I'm not keen on it.
I like Mr. Clever. I like Dark 11th Doctor. That's actually really good. That's a pretty genius move. I like the idea of it being in like a spacey rundown amusement park with a discount Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And I like the Cybermites. They're alright. Otherwise,
I'm not too keen on the Cybermen themselves. I really don't like the whole bloody how they can just phase around. That's just
hang on a second.
Really. Yeah.
Did you just say Cyberman?
Yes.
Because No, it's obviously Iron Man. Look at the freaking armor we had on his chest, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, it does. It does look like a really like bootleg version of Tony Stark in an Iron Man costume. Yes, it does.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm not keen
I
on
like
the design.
face. The face is good.
Oh yeah,
it's,
like the
it's
face
proper
is fine.
classic kind. But
It's kind of like Tomb of the Cybermen or like Second Doctor era Cybermen. Kind of looks like
yeah,
that.
it's just kind of they're just so overpowered as well, where they can just upgrade any issue. I'm like, no, they can't.
So you've blown my arm off.
No, they
Haha!
can't.
I'll just grow a new one.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear that there was a lot of issues behind the scenes, and even Neil Gaiman and Matt Smith have both expressed their disappointment and frustration with the story. Even Smith was talking about how when he had to do the whole double act thing, he got little support from the crew, who he was constantly like annoyed with. Even Neil Gaiman enjoyed writing the script, but when he saw the finished product, it just left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Like he felt like it was taken out of his control entirely, and he just left it with like a very bitter experience, which is horrible, frankly. Which
It's a shame. It is
Yeah.
a shame.
but it did lead him, because of this episode, it did lead him to basically demand full creative control over future projects that are based on his scripts. So I don't know if he wrote the recent Sandman series on Netflix. If he did, I'm assuming that's all him, like entirely. But now we'll get into the finale. The Name of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The hype for this, as soon as the title dropped, and people were like, no, Stephen, you are not going to do that, don't you
Yeah.
dare.
You know what it is? When I first watched this and I saw the title of the episode, I thought, no, you're not, are you? No, you wouldn't do that.
I've never experienced such tension in Doctor Who, when the Great Intelligence is trying to get him to like reveal his name, and as soon as he gets to please, and then the door opens, I've never been so freaked out. I was like, oh my god, tell me his name isn't please.
I know.
But I do like the subversion that the name of the Doctor isn't his actual name. It's the Promise. I love that as an idea. It's very clever and very cheeky. I'll give him that.
Yes, it is.
But obviously, like one of the maybe not the biggest thing at the very end is we'll talk about Clara, the plot device, because we haven't really spoken about her because there isn't anything to her, at least until the next series. So she saves the Doctor every single day for 1,200 years. Something like that.
I mean,
Yay.
yeah.
I mean, I like. It's annoying now seeing this after what we've had in more recent years, but I do like how we get to see the Doctor sailing the TARDIS for the first time. I like that a lot. Even if now...
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, even if now, which I can't explain yet until we get to the Chibnall era, doesn't make any sense. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Fuck that one up. But yeah, so... It's too soon to have like a revelation like this for Clara when she's only been in like 8 episodes and had an eighth of a character, quite frankly. Like, I don't buy that she would just like jump into like the Doctor's time stream and just save him every single time. Also, how is she doing that? Like, she isn't bringing like a Grand Theft Auto Online's character equivalents of so many weapons. Like, as much as I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I could just imagine that. Like, she has like her own little. Obviously, with the TARDIS, it's an interdimensional spaceship thing, so it can just have every room possible, swimming pool, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
She just has like a bag, and she just pulls out like weapon after weapon after weapon. Interdimensional handbag.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how it basically creates. I think it's what's it called? I think it's like an ontological paradox where like, if the Doctor hadn't gone to the 21st century to invite Clara to travel with him, and if he hadn't met her in Victorian London in the Dalek Asylum, nothing would have happened. Like, like everything would just implode. I'm like, yay, she's super important now. Like,
It's basically what happened if the Doctor didn't meet Clara.
we'll definitely get to her in series 9. I always find it really creepy when like they do the whole thing of like the Doctor has a secret that he'll take to the grave and it's discovered. And he's like, it's not actually the secret, it's the fact that it's his grave. And I was like, oh my god, that's actually really dark.
Yeah.
Like, I like that a lot. But
But
the big one.
here comes the but.
The most famous actor in human history is revealed to be the Doctor.
Yes, oh
Frickin'
yes.
John Hurt. Oh, that
I
blew
just
my
remember
mind.
like how shocked I was when
Yeah,
that
'cause
was
it's-
revealed. The War Doctor. I was like, wait, what?
I mean,
What now?
we'll definitely address him more in the Day of the Doctor, but if I'm completely honest, I don't think that his introduction here is actually... I don't think it sells it very well, considering what we get in the Day of the Doctor. But that
I don't think
revelation
it's
is
anything
really
compared
great.
to Day of the Doctor. Like, I mean,
No.
it does its job. I think that's fair to say, but it's
Yeah.
nothing compared to Day of the Doctor.
I do question though how the hell they get from the end of the Name of the Doctor to the Day of the Doctor when he's like still in his own time stream and then suddenly he's over there doing whatever. I don't get it.
Suddenly over there.
Yeah, there's like no explanation at all. But yes, that's the end of series 7. Final thoughts on a very ropey series to say the least.
It's got its goods and it certainly has its bads. It's just a bit of a shame that some of the episodes don't really live up to what the potential could have been. But again, with like the issues and things like this, so it's no wonder. I just sort of wish that some of the episodes just didn't end so suddenly. Like if they just did the sensible thing and actually ended just by having an ending and not just going, okay, finished, done.
Yeah, you can
Finito.
tell they were trying to basically do like a blockbuster every episode, but in 45 minutes, so everything ends with like the screwdriver and or explosion.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work too well, frankly. You know what I mean? As I say, I joke with Series 7 here, ending with an explosion in each episode. But then even like the overuse of the sonic screwdriver, is severely lacking in the companion side of things. Like one that stays around for too long and one that has nothing to do. And Rory, put a sod. Yeah, it's that being said, there's still quite a lot of rewatchability in this series.
Oh yeah, well, I think there's definitely some episodes. I mean, Hyde, as I said before, I'd easily go back and rewatch that. Like, rewatching series 7, easily one of like the top episodes. Without a
Yeah,
doubt.
definitely. But obviously, this isn't the end for Doctor Who in 2013. We also have the 50th anniversary, and the one when Matt Smith dies. The actor, not actually the. So next week we'll be talking about not just the 50th, not just the time of the Doctor, but also the other stuff that happened around the 50th, of which there is quite a bit, according to my steelbook, which is downstairs. It's not actually up here. Damn it! It was a prime time, honestly. But yes, thank you very much for listening, /watching, however you decide to do these. Like, share, subscribe. Let's see if we can hit 43 views in a week. Let's see if we can beat the prayer one, which people are really interested in. This one definitely
do it. Do it.
But yes, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next week for the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. Goodbye.
Goodbye.